I'm Chef Terry Reese, and this is Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. At the dinner table, meaningful conversations about school, work, and life support children and encourage them to succeed. Parent University and Believe to Become are proud to support our show today. Welcome. I'm Chef Terry Reese, and this is Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. Today we're featuring Michigan beef, and we're going to be working with pot roast and Delmonico steaks, which are one of my favorite types of steaks. I had the honor of going out to Byron Center Meats to pick out my steak and my pot roast, and we had a chance to talk with the owners there and get a tour of the store. So let's take a look at that, and we'll be back to cook here in a few seconds. Hi, I'm Chef Terry Reese, and I am here with Laura and Lori at Byron Center Meats, where they do local beef from the Midwest here in Michigan. Lori is the store manager, and Laura is one of the owners, and we'd like to talk about what Byron Center Meats does, and then go check out the meat counter where I am going to get some Delmonico steaks. I'm also here with my friends from Grand Rapids Public Schools and Parent University, and they're going to tour with me. So welcome. Well, I'm welcome here, right? So Laura, tell me a little bit about the store and everything that you have here.
Well, actually, I'm going to share our family history here. We've been on the same block in Byron Center for 70 years, and the store was started by my husband's grandparents, and right after World War II. They wanted to open a locker plant, and it's grown from that into a retail store.
And this store is fairly new in the grand scheme of things, because I do remember there was a little bit of a fire some time ago, wasn't there?
There was. This store is a result of the fire that was 9 years ago, and very blessed to be able to rebuild and still serve the community.
And you do local Michigan beef, right?
Correct. I'm actually going to do... That's her.
Okay. So, Lori, tell me a little bit about the Michigan beef here.
Yes, in the store here, we really try to hit a lot of our local businesses, first of all, from just even the side items to the meats, which we are our specialty in. We really love serving our customers from when they come in the door, from fresh product to filling their freezer with local meats. If they have questions on certain cuts, they have not had success with cooking them, we really want to make sure we're there to help them. You can go to the grocery store, pick up things on a day-to-day basis, but we want to help it a step further, and we try to help them even if it's not working for them. What do you need to do different?
Yeah, and I can tell you for a fact, too, that they custom cut meat. In fact, I actually have an order on the other side here, so let's go a little bit this way and see some of the other things that are in the store. Okay, so one of the nice things about Byron Center Meats, besides all the seasonings and all the extras that you can get, look at this great local beef section that we have. What's your favorite cut of beef?
For myself, I would probably pick from the local sections, the Delmonico, probably just because of the marbling in the Delmonico, and I know that's Terry's favorite, and I didn't say it just because of that, but it is a very good cut of meat.
Yeah, and what I like about coming here, you can either come to the case and just pick it up, or like myself, you can order it. And I like to go for thicker steaks, so like the 1-inch and higher steaks, because it's just so much easier to do. So I also saw there's some wild game here. So what do we feature here in the store?
Well, just to go back earlier, Terry had a question about our meats. We have a traditional feed program that we really have customized for our customers for the last 70 years. In that we offer in our boxes, like you see, where you can just come in, pick out what you're looking for in the cuts. It's all individually vacuum sealed. Then if you have more of a looking for in your how's the animal been raised and want all the history, then we're going to our local section, and we carry buffalo, we carry different chicken, then we carry our natural beef, which is more of a corn finish, all the way to only a grass diet. Great farmers. We have information on our website that can even tell you how they have been raised.
And that's really important, the more that you can buy local, the better it is for all the community that we have here. We're going to go over here to the meat case right now, where there's fresh cuts of beef, and talk about what we have available, and we'll go from there, okay?
Sounds great.
I'm here at the fresh meat counter with Lori, and one of the best things about this is if you don't want to get frozen, you can get fresh cuts of meat already prepackaged. And if you can see right behind me, the butchers are working very hard at getting all this meat ready for retail customers and for their business customers. And what's nice is I can go over here and just say, hey, I want that Delmonico that looks so good. And Lori would be happy to give it to me, wouldn't you? And now what we're going to do is we're going to walk over and pick up the order that I have for the show. All right, so I'm here at the end of my line at Byron Center Meats. I'm close to the exit door, and I have my order for the show. I'd like to thank Lori and Laura, my friends at Grand Rapids Public Schools Parent University, and I'm about ready to cook with these. We'll see you in a bit. Okay, thank you. Byron Center Meats is a local store, and what I loved about going out there is I can usually order any type of meat that I want and get it customized to order. What we're going to do today is a couple of easy meals, well, at least easy to me. And one of them is Sunday pot roast. Sorry about that, but I have this beautiful chuck roast here. It's about 3 pounds. It can be done several different ways. My mom would call this Sunday dinner or a boiled dinner, and I really don't use crock pots, but you could do this in a crock pot. So you can just think about this in the same way as a crock pot would be. So I'm going to heat up what I call a Dutch oven and let it get going there a little bit, and then I'm going to season this with salt and pepper. And I love this. And yep, you got to touch it, got to play with your food. It's one of the nice things about being a chef. I get to play with food. This is just a mixture of salt and pepper and some herbs and some things that I have around. So what I'm going to do is get this started. Take a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. I don't need a lot in here because this has a lot of fat already in the meat. And I'm going to set it down here and we're going to listen to it sizzle a bit. Let's hope it works. That's where you go ooh and ah, and where I get to wash my hands. All right, now I've created monsters out of you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this simmer and get going for a while, and then I'm going to start the second dish that we're going to do, which is I'm going to make a pilaf using quinoa for my Delmonico steak. So while that's going, I'm going to heat up this pan over here. And for those of you who have never used quinoa before, it looks like this. Little grains of small little sand that if you open up a bag like this, it will go everywhere. It's a complete protein, and it's actually a seed, and it's gluten-free if you need to be gluten-free. A pilaf is just rice, a grain, something along those lines. A little bit of what we call mirepoix, which is celery, carrots, and onion, which I'll put in here. And I'll give it a little bit of extra virgin olive oil so that I can get those nice and soft. And then I'll get a spoon and I'll just kind of stir this up. Now I'm going to use the same salt and pepper mix over here just to get it going and let that go. This will take about 3 to 5 minutes for the onions to get soft and everything to get where you want it to be and have it develop a little bit of color. So I'm going to take a look at my pot roast. I'm going to be doing 2 things at once here. I know it drives a lot of people a little bit crazy. But what I want to do is be able to get a dark color on the bottom of this. And how I do that is by not touching and playing with my food before I go. So let's see here if I can get this to turn over and take a look. Not quite there yet, so I'm going to let it go. I'm going to go over here and add 1 cup of quinoa to my pilaf. And then I'm going to let this toast up a little bit. We'll go ahead and stir it up. See, it's going to get all over everything at some point here. And then, just like rice, most grains take 2 parts of a liquid to 1 part of the grain. So with the quinoa, I'm going to add in 2 cups of beef broth that I have. Get rid of my container. And then I'm going to bring this up to a simmer. And I'll come to a simmer much faster if I cover it. Covering it helps contain in the heat. And then it cooks a lot like rice. It'll take about 10 to 12 minutes to cook. Now, about 5 years ago, if you got quinoa, you had to rinse it. But what I tell everybody is to read the back of your package, because manufacturers will come up and they've done a lot of things, and it'll tell you whether you need to rinse your rice or not. It's not a big deal, one way or the other. You can rinse it, or you don't have to, or I should say the quinoa. This one says I didn't have to rinse it, saved me a step. Because these little grains, seeds, they can get all over everything. So once that comes up, I'm just going to turn it down and let it simmer until it gathers all of the water into it, or the beef broth that I have. And let me see how I'm doing here. Ooh, I got some nice caramel on that. It's a nice little color. Looks like this. I created. So I'm going to let that go. And what we're doing is cooking this. It's going to end up cooking low and slow. The chuck roast is one of those muscles that does a lot of work for the cow. And so it's like shoulders and the butts and all this kind of stuff. They do lots of work. So they need a lot of time to cook to fall apart. So you want to go low and slow with that. So what I'm going to do also is, at Byron Center Meats, I was able to get some great vegetables that were already taken care of in their frozen section. Get that plate out of there. These are called IQF, and you can find them there, which stands for individually quick frozen. Now, I would normally add these in at about 3/4 of the way cooking, but I'm going to put them in here for demonstration purposes. And I also have some mushrooms that I have going on here, and I like a lot of mushrooms. So these are all going to go in. Same way. Now you could just take out what you needed and just, freeze the rest of them. Individual quick frozen stands for exactly that. It goes into a blast chiller. It freezes really, really fast, faster than what you can do in a home freezer, and it doesn't do anything to the cell structure that you have. So it keeps that cell structure together. Now I'm going to show you something here. These are going to be mushrooms for my steak, but I drained them, and I have all this great juice. So I'm going to use them over here and put this down. And then move that around a little bit. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of beef broth. Now, depending upon how big your steak is, or your chuck roast is, and how big your pan is, that'll tell you how much beef broth you need. You want to cover it so it's just at the top of the meat, and everything else will go up on the top of it. And at my house, on Sundays, my mom would just cover this, put it on the stove, and cook it slow for 3 or 4 hours. You can do the same thing by putting it in the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and add in all my veggies. And these are carrots, celery, onions, and some potatoes. And this way, if you don't have great knife skills, or you don't want to cut it, or you just want to be able to grab something easy, this is a perfect way to do it. So I'll go ahead and move this around. Dry my hands off a little bit here. This has come to a boil, so I'm going to turn that down. And in fact, I'm going to actually move it to the back here, so I have a little bit of space. And then what I'm going to do is cover this and put it in a low oven. Now this oven could be anywhere from 250 to maybe 325, depending upon a couple of things, how long you want it to go and how soon you want your dinner. But I wouldn't go much more than 325. Now I have this cover here. This happens to be a pan that could go into the oven up to 400 or 500 degrees. But you really want to check your pans to find out if they can do that or not, because a lot of pans will only go up to like 350 because of the knobs that they have on them. So this is one of those perfect type of low, slow dishes. One of the things I've been known to do too is, it's Saturday. What are we going to have for Sunday? I haven't taken anything out and thawed it. Frozen, everything but the vegetables. put it in the oven at about 250 degrees, and overnight you'll open it up and you'll have this great taste. So let me go ahead and move this in here and move the one that's almost done. I'm going to go move my pot roast. I'm just going to forget about that. So the second thing that we're going to do is work on a steak, my favorite. I have a 1.5 inch thick cut Delmonico there. Let me clear off some of these. And yesterday, I put some garlic, some rosemary, some lemon, and some salt and pepper on there. And I let it go. Today then, when I got out here and I took it out to bring it to room temperature, I patted it dry. The reason I patted it dry, I want to be able to put some color on that meat. I don't want to say I want to sear the juices in, but I do want to sear it. And the reason I want to sear it is because I want it to get some color. If it was wet, all it's going to do is steam. So I have a cast iron pan here, by the way. This was my mother's pan. She's had it for quite some time, and I got to have it. They last forever. One of the ways you can clean this is when you're done is wipe it out, put in some salt, scrub it out, and put it away. So we have the steak, and my pan's been heating up. Make sure it's still on. Let's see if we got it. Oops, missed one thing. Want to put a little bit of oil on the steak. A little bit. I don't want to drain it and douse it. Again, I get to use my hands. I know, some people think, really, she's using her hands. Ooh. But that's what we get to do. So this is, like I said, 1.5 inches. This will take about 10 to 12 minutes to get done totally. So if we're lucky, we'll hear another sizzle. Good. That's going on. I've created monsters. There are monsters in my kitchen. Now, if you wanted to, you could do this on your grill, but it's starting to get cold outside, and we really want to get some nice heat going on. So you don't want to go outside. It takes your grill a lot harder. So get your steak really nice done in a pan. And again, I'm going to go ahead and let this caramelize out. It's actually called the Maillard reaction, and it really tells you that the steak really wants to cook itself. When it's ready to turn, it will automatically release itself. So if you've put something on a grill or on a pan and it's stuck, and you go like this, right? That's because it hasn't had its time to develop all of the coloring that it hasn't actually released from it. I also happen to have a pan that is very well seasoned, because we won't tell you how old I am or my mom, but she's had it for a long time. So in there was some lemon, some rosemary, some garlic, salt and pepper. Can you smell it? Yeah, that's what I thought. Whew, good, because if you would have said you couldn't smell it, I would be really worried. I'm going to go back over to my pilaf and move this around a little bit. See how it's going, and it's coming up. Was really working fast there for a bit. One of the things you need to realize is that if a recipe says over medium heat or take it to a simmer and you're cooking it and it's like going crazy, you control the heat. You can turn it down, you can move the pan off the heat, you have all of that you can do. Just don't freak that it's sitting there doing it. So the one thing I'm going to do here, take a look, still not where I want it to be. So I'm going to turn this heat up quite a bit and let it go from there. So we're going to garnish our steak with mushrooms and with a blue cheese butter. So in this bowl here, I have some blue cheese and some butter. Basically, that's it. Unsalted blue cheese, I should say unsalted butter and blue cheese, all brought up to room temperature. And then I'm just going to smash it up and mix it up here. My husband and I were out for dinner a long time ago at a really nice steakhouse, and we were debating, do we get this really expensive steak because we were there? And the general manager said, no, get a Delmonico, have it done because it has all that fat in it, because fat means flavor, and add some blue cheese butter to it. And that sold me. Now I have an awful lot of butter here for one steak. But what I can do with this when I'm done is I can take it out of this bowl. I can do one of a couple things. I can roll it in parchment paper or in saran wrap into a log and freeze it. Or I can drop it by spoonfuls on a sheet tray and then sheet pan, freeze it, and then put them in baggies. So the next time that I want some blue cheese butter, I've got it there. All right, I'm going to turn this over. I don't know if you can see that, but it's starting to get nice and brown. Oh, I'm going to start to lose it here, but that wouldn't be good to do. So one of the things when you're working with a steak and you want to do it, I want to add some more flavor to it. So I am going to drop in some more rosemary, some lemon peel that I have here, and a little bit of butter, because fat equals flavor. You can get the lemon peel off by using one of these cool tools called a channel knife, or you can use a knife, but I have one of these cool tools. And that's really all that you need to do with it. So now, see, it's still stuck a little bit. I'm gonna let it go. And because it's in a pan, what we want to do is use our tools that we have so that we can get all the sides of it dark. Nothing's like having a great top, a great bottom, and then the sides just aren't crispy. So I'm going to take my tongs and I'm just going to hold this up here and hold it up. If I have 3 or 4 steaks, sometimes I just kind of lay them in a row and get them done. Makes me feel like I'm doing something too. Oh, I can smell that rosemary too. Wonder where I got that from. I got that from Michigan Fine Herbs. So that's one of the ways that you can do this. This will take you about, like I said, 10 to 12 minutes to cook. I can either leave it right here and cook, or I could do one of those where I put it into an oven and let it go from there. But what I'm going to do is light this side, and then I'm going to move it over. Let it continue to cook. And now I'm going to bring my pot roast out. One that I have done. Need another pan because it's a pot holder. Okay. And that's what I get. It's a beautiful pot roast. It has carrots, onions, celery. And what I'm going to do is take a little bit of cornstarch slurry. And I'm going to take a little bit of the juice and a carrot, came with it. Mix it up. Pour it in here. And bring that up to, has to go up to 177 degrees. It doesn't have to come up to a boil. And it will thicken up. Okay. While that's coming up, I'm going to plate a steak. I'm going to remove this steak for the time being. Set it over here to rest. Add my mushrooms. Grab a plate. Undo my steak here, which I did a little bit earlier. I have some pilaf that's already done. Imagine that. So I have my pilaf. Slice some steak. Oh, I like mine rare, medium rare. Fan a bit of this out. Toss in a few mushrooms. I like mushrooms. Add a bit of blue cheese butter to it. And I have a Delmonico steak. Yay! We also have in here some beautifully done pot roast. Look at that. It just kind of falls apart with some carrots, potato, and let me get a little spoon. A little bit of gravy here. So there you have it. We have Sunday pot roast that you can do any time of the day or night, overnight in the oven, 3 or 4 hours in an oven, however you would like to do it. We also have Delmonico steak done pretty well, medium rare with a pilaf and mushrooms. I'd like to thank my friends from Byron Center Meats, Michigan Fine Herbs, and everybody else who's come today. I'd like to also thank the volunteer crew here at WKTV for supporting the show. I hope you had a good time watching Tips, Tricks, and Techniques with Chef Terry Reese, and I'll be back next time. So have a great day. Thanks. Thanks for watching today's show, Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. Remember, at the dinner table, much love is expressed. Life-giving conversations encourage children to believe in their unlimited potential, embrace high expectations, and seize every opportunity to achieve success in school, work, and life. Learn more about Believe to Become at IBelieveBecome.org.